The morning sun cast long shadows across the concrete floor of Master Ken's fighting academy as 23-year-old Emma Brooks walked through the front doors at exactly 8:15 a.m. The gym smelled of sweat, rubber mats, and determination, a mixture that would have intimidated most newcomers. But Emma had been preparing for this moment for months, even if nobody would have guessed it by looking at her. She was small, barely 5 feet 2 inches tall, with thin arms and a soft voice that made people lean in to hear her speak. Her handshake was gentle, almost apologetic, and when she smiled, she looked more like someone who belonged in a library than a fighting gym. The other students were already warming up, throwing powerful punches at heavy bags and practicing kicks that echoed through the space like gunshots. Master Ken Thompson was a legend in the fighting world, a former champion who had trained dozens of professional fighters over his 30-year career. He was built like a mountain, with arms that looked like they could bend steel and a reputation for being one of the toughest instructors in the city. His gym was known for producing winners, not for babying beginners who might quit after their first hard workout. When Emma approached the front desk, the receptionist looked her up and down with barely concealed doubt. Jenny Martinez had worked at the gym for 3 years and had seen plenty of people walk through those doors thinking they wanted to learn how to fight, only to discover that real training was nothing like what they had imagined. "You're here for the beginner's class?" Jenny asked, already reaching for the paperwork that most new students would need to fill out. Emma nodded, her voice soft but clear. "Actually, I was hoping to speak with Master Thompson about private lessons." Jenny raised an eyebrow. Private lessons with Master Thompson were expensive and usually reserved for serious athletes who had already proven themselves in group classes. Most beginners started with the assistant instructors, learning basic techniques before they were ready for advanced training. "Have you trained before?" Jenny asked, looking at Emma's slight frame and wondering if she had any idea what she was getting herself into. "A little," Emma replied, which was both completely true and utterly misleading. Master Thompson emerged from his office at that moment, having finished his morning review of the day's training schedule. He was wearing his usual black training shirt that stretched tight across his massive chest, and his hands were already wrapped for the workout ahead. When he saw Emma standing at the front desk, his expression shifted to polite but distant professionalism. "You must be the new student Jenny mentioned," he said, extending his hand for what he expected would be a standard greeting. Emma took his hand in hers, and Master Thompson immediately noticed how soft her grip was. Her handshake felt weak, hesitant, like someone who had never thrown a real punch in her life. It was the kind of handshake that usually indicated a person who would struggle with the physical and mental demands of serious combat training. "I'm Emma Brooks," she said, her voice so quiet that Master Thompson had to strain slightly to hear her over the sounds of training in the background. "Ken Thompson," he replied, already making mental notes about this new student. In his experience, people with weak handshakes usually lasted about 2 weeks before deciding that fighting wasn't for them. Still, he believed in giving everyone a fair chance to prove themselves. "Jenny says you're interested in private lessons," Master Thompson continued, studying Emma's face for signs of the determination he looked for in serious students. "Can I ask what your goals are? Are you looking to get in shape, learn self-defense, or are you interested in competitive fighting?" Emma paused for a moment before answering, as if she were choosing her words carefully. "I want to learn everything you can teach me. I want to be the best fighter I can possibly be." The sincerity in her voice caught Master Thompson slightly off guard. Most beginners talked about learning self-defense or getting in shape, but this quiet young woman was talking about becoming a serious fighter. Her words didn't match her appearance, and that inconsistency intrigued him despite his initial skepticism. "Fighting isn't just about wanting it," Master Thompson explained, his tone becoming more serious. "It requires dedication, discipline, and the ability to push through pain and exhaustion when everything in your body is telling you to quit. Are you prepared for that kind of commitment?" Emma met his gaze directly for the first time since entering the gym, and Master Thompson was surprised by the intensity he saw in her eyes. "I've been preparing for this my entire life," she said, and something in her voice made him believe that she wasn't exaggerating. They agreed to start with a trial session that afternoon at 4:30 p.m., which would give Master Thompson a chance to assess Emma's current skill level and determine whether private lessons made sense for someone at her stage of development. Most beginners needed months of group classes before they were ready for individualized instruction. Emma left the gym and spent the rest of the day trying to stay calm and focused. She had been planning this moment for so long that it felt almost surreal to finally be here. She grabbed a light lunch at a nearby cafe, reviewed her mental notes about fighting techniques, and tried to manage the nervous energy that had been building inside her for months. What Master Thompson and everyone else at the gym didn't know was that Emma had been training in secret for the past 4 years. Not at a traditional gym where people could see her progress, but in her garage, in local parks after dark, and in her friend's basement where she had set up a complete training area with heavy bags, speed bags, and all the equipment she needed to develop her skills. Emma's journey into fighting had begun during her freshman year of college, when she had been attacked by a stranger while walking home from the library late one evening. The attack had been brief, and she had managed to escape without serious injury, but the experience had changed something fundamental inside her. She realized that she never wanted to feel helpless again, never wanted to be unable to protect herself or the people she cared about. Instead of taking the obvious route of signing up for self-defense classes, Emma had decided to pursue something more comprehensive. She wanted to learn real fighting skills, not just basic techniques for escaping dangerous situations. She began researching different martial arts styles, studying videos of professional fights, and reading everything she could find about combat techniques and training methods. Her secret training had been systematic and intense. She started with basic fitness, running miles every morning before dawn when the streets were empty and nobody could see her. She practiced shadowboxing for hours, working on footwork and combinations until her movements became smooth and natural. She hit heavy bags until her hands were raw, gradually building the kind of power that only came from thousands of repetitions. Emma had also studied the mental aspects of fighting, learning about strategy, timing, and the psychological elements that separated good fighters from great ones. She practiced meditation and visualization techniques, imagining herself in different fighting scenarios and rehearsing her responses until they became automatic. By the time she walked into Master Thompson's gym that morning, Emma had already developed skills that would have impressed most instructors. But she had also learned to hide those abilities, understanding that sometimes the element of surprise was more valuable than an impressive reputation. When Emma returned to the gym at 4:30 p.m., Master Thompson was waiting for her in the main training area. The afternoon classes had ended, and the gym was quieter, with only a few serious students working on their individual training. The lighting was softer than it had been in the morning, creating an atmosphere that felt more intimate and focused. "We'll start with some basic movements," Master Thompson explained as he led Emma to a section of mats near the back of the gym. "I want to see how you move, get a sense of your natural athleticism and coordination." Emma nodded and began following his instructions, throwing simple punches and practicing basic stances. To Master Thompson's trained eye, she looked exactly like what he had expected based on their morning meeting, a complete beginner who was trying hard but lacked any real experience with combat techniques. Her punches looked awkward and uncertain, her footwork was hesitant, and she seemed uncomfortable with the physical demands of the exercises. Everything about her performance confirmed his initial assessment that she would need months of basic training before she would be ready for anything approaching advanced instruction. "Your form needs work," Master Thompson said, which was both an accurate observation and a complete misunderstanding of what he was actually seeing. "But that's normal for someone just starting out. The important thing is that you're trying, and I can see you're paying attention to the details." For the next hour, Emma continued to play the role of an eager but inexperienced student. She asked basic questions about technique, stumbled through combinations that she could actually perform flawlessly, and generally maintained the impression that she was exactly what she appeared to be, a small, soft-spoken woman who was new to the world of fighting. Master Thompson found himself warming up to Emma despite his initial reservations. She was clearly dedicated and hardworking, and there was something appealing about her humble approach to learning. Too many new students came in with unrealistic expectations about how quickly they would progress, but Emma seemed content to start with the fundamentals and work her way up slowly. "That's enough for today," Master Thompson said as the clock approached 6 p.m. "You did well for your first session. If you keep working at this pace, you'll start seeing real improvement in a few months." Emma thanked him politely and gathered her things, maintaining her quiet demeanor as she prepared to leave. But as she was walking toward the exit, Master Thompson called out to her with what seemed like an afterthought. "Actually, Emma, before you go, would you be interested in watching a sparring session? I've got 2 of my advanced students working out tonight, and it might be educational for you to see what real fighting looks like." Emma paused, appearing to consider the invitation carefully. "I'd love that," she said, settling her bag back down and finding a place to sit along the wall where she could observe without getting in the way. At 7:45 p.m., Marcus Williams and Tony Rodriguez entered the training area, both of them seasoned fighters who had been training with Master Thompson for several years. Marcus was tall and lean with lightning-fast hands, while Tony was built more like a tank, with powerful shoulders and a reputation for ending fights with devastating body shots. "We'll keep it light tonight," Master Thompson announced as the 2 fighters began their warm-up routine. "This is just technical work, not a war." Emma watched intently as the 2 men began to spar, her eyes tracking every movement and analyzing their techniques with the kind of attention that came from years of studying the sport. To casual observers, she probably looked like any other new student watching in fascination as more experienced fighters demonstrated their skills. But Emma was seeing things that most people would miss. The subtle tells that indicated when each fighter was about to attack, the defensive gaps that opened up when they committed to offensive combinations, the patterns in their movement that could be exploited by someone who understood timing and strategy. The sparring session lasted about 20 minutes, with both fighters working up a good sweat while demonstrating various techniques and combinations. Master Thompson provided running commentary for Emma's benefit, explaining what the fighters were trying to accomplish with different moves and why certain strategies were effective in specific situations. "What did you think?" Master Thompson asked Emma after Marcus and Tony had finished their session and were cooling down. Emma took a moment before responding, as if she were carefully considering what she had seen. "They're both really skilled," she said. "I can see that I have a lot to learn." Her humble response reinforced Master Thompson's impression of her as a dedicated student who understood how much work lay ahead of her. He had no way of knowing that Emma had actually identified several weaknesses in both fighters' techniques and was already formulating strategies that could be used to exploit those vulnerabilities. Over the following weeks, Emma continued her private lessons with Master Thompson, maintaining the carefully crafted persona of an improving but still basic student. She made steady progress at exactly the pace that would be expected from someone of her apparent experience level, never advancing too quickly or demonstrating skills that would raise questions about her background. Master Thompson found himself genuinely enjoying their sessions together. Emma was the kind of student that instructors loved to work with, attentive, hardworking, and respectful. She never complained about difficult exercises, always arrived on time, and seemed genuinely grateful for the instruction she was receiving. What he didn't realize was that Emma was using their sessions for her own purposes, studying his teaching methods and learning things that couldn't be picked up from books or videos. She was particularly interested in his insights about fight psychology and strategy, areas where his decades of experience provided knowledge that could only come from working with real fighters at the highest levels. Emma also used her time at the gym to observe the other students, learning about their personalities, fighting styles, and skill levels. She paid special attention to the advanced students who sparred regularly, mentally cataloging their strengths and weaknesses while maintaining her role as a curious beginner. After 6 weeks of training, Master Thompson suggested that Emma might be ready to try some light sparring with one of the other students. I think it would be good for you to experience what it feels like to actually fight someone instead of just hitting bags, he explained. We'll match you up with someone appropriate for your skill level. Emma appeared to consider this suggestion carefully, as if the idea of sparring made her nervous. Do you think I'm ready for that? She asked, her voice carrying just the right note of uncertainty. You've been working hard and making good progress, Master Thompson reassured her. This would just be very light contact, more about learning timing and distance than actually trying to hurt each other. They scheduled the sparring session for the following Friday evening at 8 p.m., after the regular classes had ended and the gym was quieter. Master Thompson decided to match Emma with Lisa Chen, a student who had been training for about 8 months and was known for her controlled, technical approach to sparring. Lisa was perfect for Emma's first sparring experience, skilled enough to provide a realistic challenge, but not so aggressive that she would overwhelm a beginner. She was also patient and supportive with newer students, often helping them learn by walking through techniques slowly and providing encouraging feedback. Emma spent the week leading up to the sparring session acting appropriately nervous about the upcoming experience. She asked Master Thompson several questions about what to expect, how to stay safe, and what she should focus on during the session. Her behavior perfectly matched what would be expected from a student who was both excited and anxious about sparring for the first time. On Friday evening, Emma arrived at the gym at 7:30 p.m., giving herself time to warm up and mentally prepare for what was about to happen. She went through her usual routine of stretching and shadowboxing, maintaining the somewhat awkward form that she had been displaying throughout her training. Lisa arrived shortly after 8 p.m., already warmed up from an earlier training session. She was a few inches taller than Emma and more obviously athletic, with the kind of confident posture that came from months of regular sparring experience. Don't worry, Lisa said as they were putting on their protective gear. We'll keep it really light. The first time can be overwhelming, but you'll get used to it quickly. Emma thanked her for being patient and understanding, playing up her nervousness while internally preparing for what she knew would be a revealing moment. After months of careful deception, she was about to show her true abilities for the first time since entering Master Thompson's gym. Master Thompson called the two women to the center of the mat and reviewed the rules for light sparring: no hard shots to the head, body shots at 50% power, and immediate stops whenever he called for a break. The goal was education and skill development, not proving who was the better fighter. Touch gloves and let's see what you've learned, Master Thompson said, stepping back to give them room to work. Emma and Lisa touched gloves in the traditional show of respect, and then the sparring session began. For the first 30 seconds, Emma continued her act, moving tentatively and throwing hesitant punches that Lisa easily avoided or blocked. Her footwork looked uncertain, and she seemed overwhelmed by the speed and complexity of actual fighting. Lisa responded exactly as Master Thompson had expected, staying patient and working at a pace that would allow Emma to learn without being overwhelmed. She threw slow, telegraphed punches that Emma could see coming, and she focused more on movement and positioning than on landing actual shots. But at exactly 8:07 p.m., something changed in Emma's demeanor. Later, Master Thompson would describe it as watching a different person step into the same body. Her posture shifted subtly, her movements became fluid and confident, and her eyes took on a focused intensity that he had never seen from her before. Lisa noticed the change too, but she didn't have time to process what it meant. Emma stepped forward with perfect timing and threw a short, sharp jab that slipped past Lisa's guard and tagged her lightly on the nose. It wasn't a hard shot, but it was perfectly placed and delivered with technical precision that indicated years of training. Lisa blinked in surprise and raised her guard higher, suddenly realizing that her sparring partner was not what she had seemed to be. But before she could adjust her strategy, Emma was already moving again, her footwork now crisp and purposeful as she circled to her left and created angles that Lisa struggled to match. Master Thompson felt his jaw drop as he watched Emma transform from an awkward beginner into what was clearly an experienced fighter. Her combinations were smooth and well-timed, her defense was solid, and her movement showed the kind of ring awareness that usually took years to develop. "What the hell?" Master Thompson muttered under his breath as Emma continued to outclass Lisa with techniques that were far beyond what any beginner should have been able to execute. Emma landed a beautiful straight right hand that stopped just short of Lisa's chin, demonstrating both perfect control and devastating potential power. She followed up with a left hook to the body that made Lisa grunt and step backward, then finished the combination with an uppercut that would have been a knockout punch if she had put her full power behind it. Lisa tried to respond with her own combinations, but Emma slipped and countered with the kind of timing and precision that indicated not just natural talent, but extensive training and experience. Every movement was economical and effective, with no wasted motion or hesitation. After 2 minutes that felt like an eternity, Master Thompson called for a stop. Lisa stood with her hands on her knees, breathing hard and looking confused about what had just happened. Emma immediately returned to her humble demeanor, approaching Lisa with concern about whether she had been too aggressive. "Lisa, are you okay?" Emma asked, her voice once again soft and apologetic. "I'm sorry if I got carried away. I was just trying to do what you taught me, Master Thompson." Master Thompson stared at Emma for a long moment, processing what he had just witnessed. The transformation had been so complete and so sudden that he was still trying to understand what it meant. The student he thought he knew had just demonstrated skills that would have impressed him even from his advanced fighters. "Emma," Master Thompson said slowly, his voice carrying a mix of confusion and growing suspicion, "where exactly did you train before coming here?" Emma looked down at the mat as if she were embarrassed about being caught. "I've been teaching myself," she said quietly. "I've been training alone for about 4 years, but I wanted to learn from a real instructor to make sure I was doing everything correctly." The admission hung in the air like a challenge. Master Thompson realized that everything he thought he knew about Emma Brooks had been carefully constructed to hide her true abilities. She hadn't been a beginner learning to fight. She had been an experienced fighter studying his methods and waiting for the right moment to reveal herself. 4 years of self-training, Master Thompson repeated, his mind racing as he reconsidered every interaction they had shared over the past 6 weeks. "And you've been pretending to be a beginner this entire time." Emma nodded, finally dropping the act completely. "I wanted to learn everything I could from you before showing you what I could actually do. I figured if I came in here claiming to be an experienced fighter, you might not take me seriously because I don't have any official credentials or competition experience." Master Thompson had to admit that her reasoning made sense, even if her methods had been deceptive. In his experience, people who claimed to be self-taught fighters were usually delusional about their actual skill level. But Emma had just demonstrated abilities that proved she was the rare exception to that rule. "Show me," Master Thompson said simply. For the next hour, Emma demonstrated the full range of skills she had developed during her years of secret training. Her striking was crisp and powerful, her combinations were creative and well executed, and her footwork was sophisticated enough to give problems to fighters with much more official experience. She showed Master Thompson techniques from boxing, kickboxing, and mixed martial arts, all integrated into a personal fighting style that emphasized speed, precision, and strategic thinking over raw power. Her conditioning was excellent, and her understanding of fighting concepts was deeper than many students who had been training in formal gyms for years. When the demonstration was over, Master Thompson sat down heavily on a nearby bench, still processing everything he had learned about his mysterious student. Emma waited quietly for his reaction, genuinely uncertain about whether her deception would cost her the chance to continue training at his gym. "That was extraordinary," Master Thompson finally said. "I've been training fighters for 30 years, and I've never seen anyone with your combination of natural talent and self-discipline. What you've accomplished on your own is remarkable." Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had been worried that Master Thompson would be angry about her deception, but his response suggested that he understood her motivations and respected what she had achieved. "But," Master Thompson continued, his tone becoming more serious, If we're going to continue working together, we need to establish some ground rules. No more pretending, no more hiding your abilities. I can't help you improve if I don't know what you're actually capable of." Emma agreed immediately, grateful for the opportunity to continue training without maintaining her exhausting charade. For the first time in months, she felt like she could be completely honest about her goals and aspirations. Over the following weeks, Master Thompson began working with the real Emma Brooks, and he quickly discovered that training her presented unique challenges and opportunities. She had developed impressive technical skills during her years of self-training, but she had also developed some bad habits and gaps in her knowledge that needed to be corrected. More importantly, Emma had never fought anyone other than herself. All of her training had been solo work, shadow boxing and bag work that allowed her to perfect techniques, but didn't give her experience with the unpredictable nature of actual combat. She needed sparring partners who could challenge her in ways that training alone never could. Master Thompson began arranging regular sparring sessions for Emma with his most skilled students, and word quickly spread through the gym about the mysterious new fighter who had appeared from nowhere with extraordinary abilities. Some students were intimidated by her skills, while others were excited about the opportunity to train with someone so talented. Emma thrived in this new environment, finally able to test her skills against a variety of opponents with different styles and approaches. She learned valuable lessons about timing, distance, and strategy that could only come from actual fighting experience. More importantly, she began to understand how much she still had to learn despite her impressive foundation of self-taught skills. Master Thompson also began preparing Emma for her first amateur competition, believing that she had the potential to be successful at the highest levels of the sport. Her combination of technical skill, strategic intelligence, and unwavering determination reminded him of the champions he had trained earlier in his career. The night of Emma's first official fight arrived 6 months after her sparring session with Lisa Chen. She was matched against Jennifer Walsh, an experienced amateur with 12 previous fights and a reputation for aggressive pressure fighting. On paper, it looked like a mismatch, the unknown fighter with no official record against a seasoned veteran. Emma entered the ring at 9:23 p.m., her face calm and focused despite the noise and excitement of the crowd. She had been preparing for this moment for years, and all of her secret training, all of her careful planning, had led to this opportunity to prove herself in official competition. Jennifer Walsh came out fast and aggressive, exactly as Emma had expected based on her study of the opponent's previous fights. But Emma was ready for the pressure, using her superior footwork and defensive skills to avoid the early storm while looking for openings to counter. At 2 minutes and 37 seconds into the first round, Emma found the opening she had been waiting for. Jennifer committed too heavily to a right hand, leaving herself off balance and exposed. Emma stepped to the side with perfect timing and delivered a short left hook that caught Jennifer flush on the chin. The punch wasn't the hardest Emma could throw, but it was perfectly placed and timed. Jennifer's eyes rolled back, her knees buckled, and she crashed to the canvas in a heap. The referee immediately stepped in and began counting, but it was clear that the fight was over. Emma Brooks, the quiet woman with the soft handshake who had fooled everyone at Master Thompson's gym, had just scored a knockout victory in her professional debut. The crowd erupted in surprise and appreciation for what they had just witnessed, and Master Thompson beamed with pride as he watched his students celebrate her triumph. Later, as Emma was being interviewed by local sports reporters, she was asked about her background and training. She spoke honestly about her journey from victim to fighter, about the years of secret preparation, and about the deception she had maintained to learn from Master Thompson. "Sometimes the best fighters are the ones nobody sees coming," she said, smiling at the memory of her first handshake with her instructor. "I learned that being underestimated can be just as valuable as being strong." Master Thompson, watching the interview from ringside, had to laugh at the truth of that statement. Emma Brooks had taught him something important about assumptions and first impressions, lessons that would make him a better instructor for all of his future students. The woman with the weak handshake had become a knockout artist, And in doing so, she had proven that sometimes the most dangerous opponents are the ones who look the least threatening. Her journey from secret student to champion was just beginning, but she had already accomplished something remarkable. She had surprised everyone, including herself, with what was possible when determination met opportunity.